Welcome to part 2 of the High Performance Team series. In part 1, we discussed how you can build a high performance team, and then in this episode, part 2, we'll discuss how you can maintain that team. Let's jump in.
Leading as a woman is tough, but leading as a woman of faith is next level. However, it doesn't have to be that way. God has called you into this leadership role because He says you are worthy. You are His child, and if He qualifies you, who in this world can unqualify you? You might suffer from imposter syndrome and believe you're not good enough, but God says you are good enough. Hi, I'm Rika, Whelan, Christian leader and workplace culture coach, and together we're going to navigate leadership with faith as our foundation. Let's get started. Grab your coffee or water, keep that notebook and pen handy, and let's jumpstart your leadership.
In the last episode, I mentioned that it'll be important for you to do a couple of things to maintain the high performance team. You did a great job at building that team now, and that might have taken some time. However, there are a couple of things that I would suggest for you to maintain that team. Yes, the 5 things that you did to build up that team, those things will have to continue and they will have to remain in place. However, a couple of additional suggestions that I'd like to make is for you to, number 1, understand the different team dynamics and then how to address potential challenges such as conflicts or personality clashes. So the number 1 thing for you to maintain it is team dynamics. So if you're making some notes, write the word team dynamics down. So to maintain a high performing team, you need to understand how to deal with challenges and how to get the team to solve conflicts and then personality clashes. So yes, conflicts are going to come. There are going to be personality clashes, hopefully because they're working towards these clear goals and objectives and a sense of purpose. They've got their values, everything that I mentioned in part 1. It'll be easier for them to overcome those personality clashes. However, conflicts will happen. So with a high performance team, we want them to be able to solve their own conflicts. Yes, sometimes you as the leader will have to get involved. However, you need to teach them how to deal with their own conflicts. So in previous episodes, when I've spoken about dealing with conflict in the workplace, I mentioned that you can come up with a key phrase at your workplace to say that, okay, let's say, for example, what's one thing that I can use? Let's say, for example, something funny like, I'm going to eat a strawberry. So let's say, for example, the key phrase is, I'm going to eat a strawberry. Then let's say, for example, the person has had a conflict with somebody else, or maybe somebody was rude. And then that person's going to go up to the person and say, okay, look, I need to have a chat with you. We need to eat a strawberry. Oh, I need to eat a strawberry. So then this is a silly example, but it's just a key phrase that you can use. When the other person hears that key phrase is being used, they know that they need to actively listen, which they meant to do anyway, but they know that they meant to listen and that this person wants to talk about something serious that happened. Okay. Having a key phrase also can break the ice. It can take away a little bit of that nervousness of what the person might have when they're addressing conflict with the other person. But conflict needs to be dealt with respectfully. So again, a conversation to have with your team is that, yes, it's okay to have a conflict, but how we deal with the conflict is going to be crucial in maintaining the high performance team. Having a chat about it, and if you can't agree, then agree to disagree. Or if the conflict gets heightened, step away from the conversation and say, okay, we'll continue this tomorrow when both of us have calmed down. Or potentially we need to get Rika, I'm just using my name, but maybe they need to get you involved as a mediator. We want to try and avoid getting a mediator involved because high performance team can solve their own conflicts, but sometimes it is beyond them to deal with it and you do need to get involved. Okay. So then the number 2 thing for you to maintain that high performance team is team building activities. So there needs to be effective team building exercises and strategies to enhance the team's collaboration, problem solving, and teamwork. So yes, the team can do all the amazing things now, but to maintain that, you need to get them to do some fun team building activities. It can't just all be serious. It can't just all be about goals and objectives. It can't just all be about that. There needs to be some fun activities that they can do together, which also sees them in a different light. Remember, when they're doing these team building activities, You see each other in a different light. You learn about a person's strengths and weaknesses, things that they might like or don't like that's in their personal life. So, let's say, for example, the thing that you're doing is an ink, and you bring in a person with snakes and lizards, okay, as a team building exercise. Then you truly get to learn which of these people like lizards or snakes, or who are absolutely petrified. Okay, that's just, again, a silly example, just something that came to mind, what we had done before. But that's how you get to know each other and get to work together to say, okay, I'm going to overcome my fear of touching a snake. I won't hold it, but I'm going to touch it, or something like that. And then, the teams support each other. So there's a lot of different team building exercises that you can do. You can also go into obstacle courses together. You can go to a place where there's like trampolines everywhere, like on the walls, on the roof, on the floor, on the ceiling. You get these places that have 360-degree trampolines that you guys can go and jump together. There's so many places where you guys can go and have fun together, but I would highly discourage alcohol to get involved. So we don't want alcohol to get involved in any of these team building exercises. Go and have a listen to the episode where I chat with Sarah Rusbach about uncorking the truth about alcohol in the workplace. So we don't want that for your team. People get silly sometimes, people get aggressive, people have different behaviors when it comes to drinking alcohol. So we want to try and avoid these team building exercises where there's alcohol involved. Okay, the next thing is performance management. So there needs to be clear performance expectations. I mentioned in the previous episode the regular feedback, and then recognize and reward high performance. Okay, so performance management is more than just the negative, because I think the word performance management can be perceived as negative. It's about maintaining or managing their performance, whether that's good or bad. So when people are performing really well in that team, they need to be recognized and rewarded for it. That is part of performance management. If they're not doing so well and they're not sticking to those values, they're not sticking or they're meeting those clear goals or whatever that might be, even with all the motivation, even with all the encouragement, it's still not working. That team member needs to be performance managed, and that needs to be done by you. So most of the things I've discussed is done by the team, but important that this be removed from the team. It cannot be a team member that performance management's a team member. It needs to be a leader like yourself that performance management's that team member. And you can go and listen to the episode where I talked about performance management. That is episode number 36. So you can go and have a look or listen to episode 36 where I spoke about performance management and how to do that effectively. So the fourth thing you want to do to maintain your high performance team is to celebrate diversity and inclusion. So you need to have strategies in place to create an inclusive and equitable workplace. And include and celebrate diversity. So, America is very much, and Australia as well, South Africa, where I'm from originally, is seen as a rainbow nation. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of immigrants. There's a lot of people coming from all around the world. And we need to celebrate that. We need to recognize that we can be inclusive of everybody in the team. And something that we did regularly was to celebrate diversity. So we used to have something like a cultural food day or Friendly Friday, where people can bring in something of like a food from their culture, or throughout the year we had these events where we celebrated different cultural events. And so for example, Ramadan was the one that we celebrated. I didn't understand what Ramadan was about. However, a colleague would always explain at the staff meeting or somewhere else what Ramadan was about, so that we can respect each other's cultures or religions. So we kind of had a firm thing where it was a bit tricky because some cultures is very much connected to their religion. However, we decided to, as best possible, to make it a cultural thing and not a religious thing, so that, again, it's just for that respect part. But also to be inclusive of people's, again, that respect, what does respect mean in your culture, and, what type of things do you do at your home. So yeah, it's just again, you can be inclusive and celebrate diversity in the workplace. But if you decide to, for example, not include that, what I would do is then, as part of your team building activities, maybe do that as a team building activity where you can celebrate diversity. And then obviously we need to be inclusive of, people that might feel left out. There's I'm not even going to mention any one of them, because there's so many viewpoints at this point in time about inclusion in the world, and I'm not even going to touch on any one of them, because I feel like it'll open up a can of worms if I mention one thing and I don't mention another thing. And so diversity and inclusion, that's definitely a great way to maintain your high performing team, is if they can celebrate and each other's diversity in the group, but also be inclusive of everybody in the group. And then the final thing is continuous learning and development. So you need to have a mindset. You need to have a mindset that you need to be investing in your team members' professional growth, see it as an investment, and then to develop and maintain maintain that high performance, seeing it as important. So you might think that, okay, this team is great, they're performing very well, they don't need anything. However, there are new skills, there are new research, there's new learning that always comes out. And if you send your teams and if you invest in your teams to go and attend this training, they will highly regard that. Some people do take it for granted, let's be honest. But if you can share with your team that, okay, guys, I'm doing the budget this year and I'm allocating, say, 5% of the budget or 10% of the budget or whatever that percentage might be to professional development, because I highly regard that. I want to invest in your professional development to maintain you guys as a high performance team, and call it at that name, high performance team, because you can say that from the beginning as well. We're going to work towards being a high performance team. These are the 5 things that we need to focus on to build. Then these are the 5 things that we need to focus on to maintain. And so investing in your team's professional development on an annual basis is going to be crucial. I know you might not be able to afford to send your whole team to professional development, but maybe you want to send 2 or 3 people and then they report back, and then 2 other people get an opportunity and then they report back. Whatever you decide, make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to go to professional development and show them that you are invested, not only in them being a high performance team, but you're invested in them as well as an individual. And let them come up with the ideas of which professional development they would like to attend. You don't have to come up with all the ideas. They can go and do the research. Give them a budget. Say that go and find something that you would like to attend this year. This is your budget. If you go out of that budget, show me how we can find that money or how we can get 2 new clients in so that you can go to that professional development. So whatever it may be, but just make sure that you invest in their professional development. So those 5 things that you can do to maintain a high performance team is, number 1, team dynamics, which then includes conflicts and personality clashes. 2 is team building activities. 3 is performance management. 4 is diversity and inclusion. And 5 is continuous learning and development. Okay, that was the end of that 2-part series. I really hope that you got a lot out of learning how to build and maintain a high-performing team. Why don't you come and share with me on Facebook group, or you can come and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. So if you go onto Apple, you will scroll down, we'll click on my show, scroll down. After about 5 episodes, you'll see there's a place where you can put 5 stars for me and then leave a written review as well. You can also come on the website womenoffaithinleadership.com and leave a speak pipe. So a speak pipe is an audio where you can share with me what are you getting out of this show. And automatically, if you do record a speak pipe, know that I will be using it to play on this episode, or to play on an episode on the show. So you know that if you record yourself, then that's the given that I'm going to use it, whether it is in the next episode or in an upcoming episode. Or you can put in a listener request. So also on the website womenoffaithinleadership.com, you can leave a listener request for a topic that I can talk about. So I'll either make it into a full episode or I'll answer it at the end of an episode. And yeah, you need to leave me your email address so that I can email you to let you know when I have answered your question. Please come and join the Facebook group, leave a review, and then I look forward to chatting with you again in the next episode. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If this podcast blessed you in some way, the number one way you can thank me is by leaving a review. Your feedback means the world to me and lights me up every single time when I read it, and it makes me want to keep going. So please leave a review, and your review will also help other Christian women in leadership find the answers they are looking for. So whether you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the review section and leave that review. Then head over to womenoffaithinleadership.com and join our free Facebook community, and I look forward to engaging with you there.